welcome to my review on Bus Simulator 21. Now this game has been out for a couple of years already and a couple of DLCs actually became available. And recently I picked up this game for free actually during for Amazon Prime Gaming. And I've been playing this game for a couple of days now just to see how it is. And here I would like to enrich you with my review of this game. Now, what do you think about this game? I think this game is actually pretty fun in a way. It's of course a bit more, let's say, in the simulator genre, so it's not for everyone. That said, if you enjoy playing games such as, for example, what have you, farming simulator, train simulator, certain tycoon games into the simulation like Transport Fever 2, Railroad Tycoon, then I think this game might be actually interesting for you. So, what is this game about? Well, as anyone probably can imagine, this game is about running a bus company in a imaginary city. You have in this game two different cities. One is a US-based city and the other is a European-based city. I'm currently playing this game in the US-based city because it's I would say, the most fleshed out city within the game. Now, let me start by saying this is the map of the city. I haven't unlocked all the areas, and I've been doing this for already like, I would say 6 days or so, and put in quite some time. So in general, the map is actually pretty big, pretty encompassing. You start out with this first area, and then once you start to progress into the game, by the way, you can unlock all the areas if you go into sandbox mode, but if you play the campaign mode, you start out with this first area, and effectively what the gameplay amounts to is that you purchase a bus. This bus you drive, you make a bus line. If you make a bus line, you can choose two different strategies. Um, you can either do a so-called, which you can see over here, change the route type, a loop mode, which is just a single loop where your bus drives in effectively the loop, or you use the ping pong mode, which is, I would say, in European cities for sure, is the most familiar one that I know of, which is just a bus stop on both sides of the street, where you have a bus returning exactly the same route as the bus went forward to. So you have a bus stop at two different sides of the road, and the bus just drives in a straight line. For instance, if you would create such a route, like I can do over here, you could say I start out over here, I pass this, and then I continue to traverse across town as such that I pass all these stops. And effectively, as you can see here in gray, you also return in the same order. So this is the final stop, and this is the first stop. And if you go into a loop, it's just a single loop. And actually in this city I've combined the two. But so as you can see, I've been setting up a decent amount of routes. By now I have 12, all employed with several buses. Now you can buy, during the campaign you unlock multiple buses actually, and you can purchase those within game as well. You can do that at the bus company, or let's say bus purchasing company, where you can buy different bus types, like for example from Mercedes, from MAN, Iveco. These are the buses actually that I am currently employing. You can fast travel around the map. At least you can inactivate or activate this option. If you go to the bus dealership, like you see over here, you can acquire all different types of buses. You can see those over here. Some of them are still locked. Those are probably unlocked throughout campaign gameplay. As you can see, I've unlocked by now within the campaign most of the buses. And they are like these great buses that are like of 2 different compartments, even up to 3. And you can even have ultimately the double deckers, which are the more, yeah, the British type of buses. And each of these buses have a certain amount of seats and standing positions. As far as I'm aware, buses are not filled up to standing positions within the game. At least I haven't noticed that so much. But they have a vehicle load, which is like 4. And this vehicle load, of course, they have certain running costs and acquisition expenses. But this vehicle load is important because that says something about the routes that you use them for. For example, if I now select route 7 over here, you can see that you have a served demand and a rush demand, or let's say peak demand. And if you develop a new bus line, as I showed you before within the editor, over here you can see that. You can see the daily income. This is a loop route. Let me see actually where this route is. It's over here. You can see, and ideally you would like to have a route demand that's in balance. At the moment it's not fully balanced, which is not a huge issue. But if I would add another bus stop that is higher in demand because you have a high supply than demand over here, then the entire route would become a bit more balanced. Or if you remove, of course, one of the supply routes. But this bus route has been doing pretty well, so I leave it as is at the moment. But anyway, you have a surf demand and a peak demand, and you can put in buses on the timetable. You can see I use an Iveco bus over here, the Urbanway Articulated, and I use a Mercedes-Benz Citaro K model to fill this route. And there you see actually the peak demand as well, where you could ideally also fit another bus. Over here you see the entire timetable of the route, in which you can also assign actually a bit more wait time, which can be beneficial to make sure that your routes are well balanced in terms of timing. You can see over here that a single trip takes like 12 minutes and 35 or 53 seconds. So, and that's currently the satisfaction, which is determined by the last time you actually drove on the route yourself, and actually influences the income that you get out of the route, is at the moment almost peak. So it's almost 5 out of 5 stars. The way that this is calculated is depending upon how well you surface that route yourself, if you drive upon it once, and effectively if you reach like full satisfaction, you get the best payout per day, even though NPCs are servicing that route. Now, this entire system actually is just like escalating quickly. And as I mentioned with the buses before, if you have like a single bus that has a capacity of 4, then you would be fully servicing this route. However, if you have like a very busy long route like this one, which only has 3 out of 6, this could be serviced a bit more than what is currently done. If you would like to service with another bus, you have to assign such a bus. Now, currently I don't have any one available, but we can purchase such a bus. Let me see. So what we could do is we could go to the garage, which you can see over here. These are currently buses that I've already been using, which you can actually fully customize as well. So you can change the look with the primary colors. You can choose various wraps. You can use decals. I'm just using the shorter of that's the abbreviation of my bus line. You can use the license plates, so you can customize it to a pretty large extent. You can even change the scheme of the interior, so that's actually pretty interesting as well. But if you would, for example, would like to purchase another bus that you already own, you can say change vehicle, and I'm currently employing these types of buses already on my routes. So we know, for instance, that the route could take another, for sure, load 2 bus. I'm currently already using a lot of the Citaros the electric ones. So if I buy another one of these, I've bought a fresh bus. I can customize. What I then usually do is I go back to one of my previous buses that are already customized. For example, this one at Route 5, and I just don't change it and apply to all the vehicles of this type, and it takes $6,000 to do so. Then the next step is that on the routes that you had a, let's say, vacancy in terms of still demand to put on that route. Here we have it, for example, on route number 10. I assign a new bus. So you can do that by clicking here, full-time bus for instance. You can also do the peak time only. The peak time does seem to be a bit more limited because it seems at the moment that once you assign it to the peak, you cannot assign that same bus to another different peak time. For instance, this is a dusk and dawn, so it's like a commuter route. You can also have like during the day, which is like a full sun, or during the night as a peak time. For instance, let's see whether I have such a route with a different peak. Here, for instance, I have a peak timing at around the let's say the midday, and it seems that you cannot say like I use one bus partially on to fill up a peak time during the day, and partially during a peak time during the commuter times like dusk and dawn. That doesn't seem to be working, so that's a bit sad, I would say. I hope that they improve upon that, because that would make the bus usage a bit more efficient. But anyway, I mean, in general, I must say that within the game at the moment, money is at some point not really an issue. It seems that you acquire money easily. The way that you acquire money effectively is by running a route. I can, for example, say now I will drive a certain bus. Let me take one of the starting buses.
Hi, boss. Would you like to take over?
So you can take over the
Sure
vehicle
thing.
just from a NPC driver, like I'm doing right now, and then you can start to drive the bus. And if you drive the bus fully throughout the route, you will earn money. So what happens? You will earn money, but also all the NPCs, drivers also earn money only when you fully complete a single route. And then all the buses will earn money,
I'd like to
and
ask
that's
for
the way
technical
that you
assistance
expand
with...
your income.
Oh,
Also during the travel, you will start to encounter various challenges sometimes.
other
These can be
options.
varied from,
Two.
and of course the way that you
Two.
drive effectively
Yes, you
impacts
stupid machine.
the score that you get. For example, this patient requires a ticket. I can print a day ticket. I have to return the correct amount of money as change, and then if I've done so, then you earn full points. You can also get out, for instance, and you can inspect passengers. There are not that many to inspect, so let's not do that. If you use the blinkers correctly, you will actually get points for the scoring, as you can see over here. Correct use of the indicator. Over here, let me get out here, then we can drive to the next stop. By the way, if you hit pedestrians or hit other traffic, or like I did now, for instance, sometimes this is a bit wonky because you You don't have the impression that you hit someone, but apparently the game thinks you do, so that's not such a good thing. But you earn points also by this good stopping position, the timing, and that you kneel the bus correctly to lower it, so the rest of, let's say, the passengers can get in and out a bit more easily. And effectively, this is what you do. Now, another aspect of the game is that whilst running the route, you will pass, of course, certain stops. And by passing these stops, by the way, here you can see all the other buses that I employ on the route. You only have your own company, by the way, assigned to routes. So there are no competitors. Like here, for example, a passenger is using loud music. If you don't intervene, that will also cost you a score. Oh. Now, also in the lower left, you can see the timetable. I'm now trying to catch up a bit more time because I'm running a bit late. But as I mentioned, whilst driving around, you earn also scores with the certain stops that you visit. And by unloading and loading passengers, the stop actually gets a kind of service points. Like for instance over here, by the way, there you see a passenger in a wheelchair, so we have to lower the ramp. And you can see here that your entire experience gets filled up, and the moment you fill up the bar in the top, you earn a payday, effectively. And the stops actually get points, like over here, and the moment you fill up this bar completely, you can advance the stop to the next level. And by doing so, you increase the level of each of the stops. Now, the moment that you increase the level of the stop sufficiently within a certain district, the entire district gets a level. And this is actually what is most important, well, what's actually one of the drivers to advance in the campaign in the game. That the moment you fully, you earn enough stops of a certain level to fully advance the districts to the next level, the bus route will become more busier. And also, so earning you more money because of the higher amount of passengers that are, within that stop. For example, Lakeside View over here is level 2 at the moment. And you can see here that many of the stops are actually, here I leveled up one of the stops. Many of the stops are actually, level 2 or higher. That said, you only earn these scores actually by servicing the stops yourself. So the NPC drivers will not earn you any level within this system. So for instance, there you have a bus that is just servicing a certain stop, also of mine. And here I will put my bus to the side of the road. Now you can see I will earn a payday. So during this time I've been driving 2 different buses. And I've caused certain incidents, but also scored points. And here you see all the routes earning money, of which of course also have a score impacting their revenue. Now you can even see here in more detail all these costs and incomes. But as I mentioned, in general, I find that the I hope that I actually didn't have to. Now it seems to be okay. That I didn't have to put out the, or let's say put off the passenger in the wheelchair. But seems to be fine still. Sometimes that can be a bit more difficult to say. Sometimes they shout, the passengers, that they have to get off. Other times you don't hear anything, and all of a sudden you notice that the passenger wants to get off, and then you get a malus score or a penalty score. Oh, well, We've skipped that part. Well, let's drive around. Here you can see a notification. A passenger fallen asleep.
Again yesterday.
So
No, she was not at all.
you have to awaken that passenger
Okay,
in
bye.
the next stop. So that the passenger can get out at least before the final stop. At the final stop. Oh, again we missed the correct route, but you get a reroute, so no harm done. Unless you are really at the, let's say at the highway, and you skip an entire lane, then of course it's a bit more, yeah, a bit more difficult to get to keep on your schedule. We're already running a bit late now, also. But as I mentioned before, it's the advancements of the stops that actually advances the district, and that usually impacts your earning capability of not route, but also advancing you usually on the campaign.
I need the ramp, please.
Here you hear that the passenger wants to get out. This passenger again requires a ticket, so you can just print a ticket and you have to again give back the correct amount of change. Senior ticket day. The amount that you have to return is usually a bit similar, so usually it works best. Oh, here I gave back too much, then you get the malice again. I have to withdraw the ramp, and we can get out.
Next stop, Island Inn.
When I work at home, my just sits on my lap.
But in general, I must say I do enjoy this game to a certain extent. It's limited in scope in what you can do. You have a bit more capabilities with the DLCs in terms of apparently having a tram. I haven't tried that part yet. I imagine the tram routes are very fixed, because I do see some tram tracks running through the city at fixed positions, so likely you can only use the tram at those spots. For the buses it's a bit more straightforward, though all the stops have already been pre-placed and can only be upgraded or downgraded, but there's no point in that during your playtime. But you cannot place down new stops. You can only let's say assign routes and on stops that are already there. Oh, we have to go here actually. And as I mentioned, the city is actually pretty big, so it's over here we are going through another part of the city to an island where you also have some stops, and that unlocked a long time before. But yeah, so that's actually the way that you advance in the game. It's really only driving buses around, servicing stops, setting up new routes, earning money, unlocking new buses with the campaign game play, but also if you like earning money and of course purchasing and acquiring more buses. And effectively the acquiring of the more buses is, or perhaps trams of course as well, is the foremost way by which you
Was that a squirrel over there?
by which you spend
You forgot someone.
by which you spend your income.
Minutes and sea drift.
This is, by the way, also one of the more annoying parts of the game, I must say. Sometimes it's difficult to see actually where the bus stop is.
Hope there's no ticket inspection today.
Sometimes a bit more difficult, as you can see here on the mini map. You see a 7, but whether it's this part of the route or that part is sometimes a bit more difficult to see. I could have seen it actually by the fact that there was one passenger standing on the sidewalk. But because this is just like a very strange stop, effectively, it's a bit more difficult to notice whether you need to stop at that position or not. And because I just jumped into this route and I haven't driven this route for quite some time, yeah, you tend to forget. At least I do. But as you can see, I must say this game is pretty relaxing. So this stop is not one that we surface because, well, you can see there's no stop or on the minimap assigned or no number. The next stop is Nimitz and Seadrift, which is again across the bridge. So we have to go back and to continue our route. So by now I've been playing this game for quite some days. I usually, as you could have seen, I think, earn about 1 million per payday or paying moment. So it's actually a lot. I mean, a decent bus costs around, well, up in between a couple of 100,000 or a couple of 100,000 up to 500,000 perhaps. So effectively with a single payday I earn enough now for buying 2 buses. So at the moment you could say money is totally not an issue anymore. There are also no real penalties money wise within the game besides, yeah, if you drive or hit a car, but those are only minute costs comparatively, a couple of thousand at the worst. So the surfacing costs are hardly anything you need to keep an eye on. So from a tycoon perspective this game is pretty limited, or pretty well, let's say one-sided. The major challenge is mostly just unlocking the campaign further, advancing within that campaign, and that's about it. So it's not really a real tycoon game. I mean, in that regard, Transport Fever is, well, you see, there's a bit of weird behavior also from the pedestrians, but from that perspective, this game is not that interesting from a tycoon point of view, tycoon gaming point of view. That said, it's I think the best bus simulator out there. At least it's the only one I've really played, but I've in the past seen a couple of different other games. Maybe the tycoon aspect of those games is a bit better. I cannot say anything about that, but within this game it seems initially to be actually pretty advanced, but in general it's pretty shallow. It's just buying buses, earning money, buying buses, unlocking more stops, and thereby advancing the districts and advancing in the campaign further. Oh, we can just continue actually. No, indeed we need to take a left turn again. So I must say it's a rather limited game.
My son wants a bus-shaped.
Performance-wise, the game performs well, at least on my computer, though I have a pretty good computer, I must say, with a 1080, with a 3080, and but and I'm running this on the max settings at the moment, so it also doesn't become prettier than this. It's okay. It's not the prettiest game around for nowadays, but it's also not bad looking. It's a bit simplistic. No advanced graphics in that regard, but it's also not ugly. At least it's satisfactory. So we now advanced again another payday. see over here. Oh, I skipped one bus stop and one passenger was left behind, so those are the Malus points.
Wanna go jogging?
And then we close the doors again and use the indicators and we advance the route.
Next stop, transit terminal.
And of course you can just get into all the buses that you are currently employing on your routes. You can just fast travel to them. So this bus that I'm now using is actually one of the starting buses. So again here we also need to service this stop. Oh, no, we don't actually. I mean, this is a bit again a bit more the confusing part, because you see 6 and 8, but we have to go to 10. So we skip this stop for now, but we do service it at a later moment again. By the way, you can assign where you will get penalties for, fines, stuff like that, speeding. So that part is all fully customizable. I have everything on default, so I think there's a couple more things you could say you would like to get fines for. If they say, oh yeah, this is also not a stop that we service actually, but we service at a later moment in time. But we go to this one. E. Transit Terminal D+E.
Transit terminal.
ASC again. We can upgrade this.
I'd like
Stop.
to buy a ticket, please. Hello.
Ticket, please.
A week ticket one.
Thanks.
Next stop, Highlander Park Church.
Sometimes I must say, but that's of course also partially the skill. I'm using, by the way, a mouse and keyboard currently to drive around. Well, the mouse is just for looking around and only using the keys to drive the bus. It's maybe a bit better with a wheel. I haven't tried it yet.
My daughter works at Samsung. She really likes it there.
So all the passengers need to get off, as you can see in the small screen. And here you can see I've reached the end of the route, which actually gave us a 90% satisfaction level. So pretty okay. Now what you can also do is you can also just have the NPCs drive the bus around. Or you can just visit your places of interest. So with that concludes the review of this game. Well, what I would say is it's a nice game. if you can get it for a low price, or in my case it was even free with Amazon Prime Gaming, I would definitely pick it up, especially if you enjoy simulator games and or certain tycoon games or transport games in general. I think it's a nice way to spend some time here. You will not regret it, but also don't expect too much from the game in terms of especially tycoon features. It's very limited, and yeah, and with that I would like to conclude this review, and I hope you enjoy it. And yeah, would I recommend it to everyone? I would say no, and probably people already know themselves whether or not they would like such a game like this. But I think that from what I've shown you, this is about the extent of the the gameplay that is there. One final thing I can add is that you sometimes have these missions where you can unlock certain quests or items. For instance, like this one, pick up 30 passengers at a certain bus stop, and then you get a reward like a skin, or like this school bus primary, or yeah, certain types of rewards. So they are there, but in general, with that I would like to conclude this review, and hope you enjoyed it.